This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, so I'm here with a speed build on how I created my Starfire cosplay, and I'm just going to get started because this clip is really short. So what I did to create the boot covers was wrap it around my legs, just a large slab of fabric or cut of fabric, and then pull it tight and pin it so that it fit where I wanted to, and then cut off the excess. So what I'm doing here is taking that shape that I created, doing that, and duplicating it so I have something for the other leg.
My kids, 'cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best.
A lot of the other pieces I cut off camera, so I'm just going to go through real fast and show you the different pieces so that you can see the shapes of them. This is for the collar or the shoulder piece. I have two parts of that, or you could place it on a fold.
This for the ones I love, those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug, those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make.
This piece is for the band that is at the top of her boots, and then this next piece is the belt.
From being that which others failed to be, and if it means
These next few pieces are for her gloves, and the pieces that I'm showing you right now are the underside, and then the longer pieces are the top half.
I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, you know.
And now on to more cutting of fabric. So here I'm wrapping the silver fabric around the shoes that I'm planning to wear with her to create the silver band that is at the bottom of her boot covers.
do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted, to grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess, your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write.
I make a second copy of that same pattern, or cut of fabric, so that I have something for the other side.
People's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my
To create the bottom of the boot covers, I just trace around the shoe, allowing there to be a little bit of seam allowance.
I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, 'cause they part of the team.
I cut out the middle of that piece because I want to be able to pull it over the shoe rather than try to get the shoe to slide through the tiny little bit where my ankle goes. And I make a second copy of that so that I have something for the other foot.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you.
I use clothing that I already owned for the pattern for her outfit, so these are just the top and the skirt that I'm using. I lay the top onto some purple fabric and cut around it, making sure I have some seam allowance.
I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my
I had part of the shirt hanging off of the cut of purple so that I had some space to put the silver band that she has at the bottom of her shirt, and now I'm just cutting that out, giving a lot of seam allowance at the bottom just in case I need it longer.
You that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you...
Switching back to the purple fabric, I am now tracing around the skirt. Remember to have enough space on all of the edges for seam allowance.
that you believe in have to scream it like a battle cry and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love, those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug, those who need it.
To create the collar of her shoulder piece, I am just laying out the little bit of fabric that I'd cut out earlier and then tracing around that and tracing out the shape I want for the collar using pencil on the wrong side of the fabric, cutting that out and duplicating it for the other side.
Move I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a thing. I do this for you. I do this for my sister.
And now it's time to sew everything together. I am using a zigzag stitch to sew everything because this is all stretch fabric.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights.
Once everything is sewn together, I cut off the excess bits of fabric, turn everything the right side out if it's like the belt or her armband, and for the other pieces I finish off the edges by hemming them and folding them inward so that they look all nice and neat and they don't have any of that raw fraying edges.
That's why I do this for you.
Once that's all pinned, sew that down to finish it off. To create the circle silver pieces that the gems rest on, I took random circular objects of different sizes and traced around them.
Silvery arms out like a plane. City lights, a galaxy. It draws me back again. I'm running, always running, hiding through the gap. Whoa.
The gems were casted out of resin, of course, but I did get footage, but that is going to be a separate video. After the pattern is done, cut it out and then transfer it onto craft foam and then cut that out.
Oceans apart, waves that roll me. Choosing sides, but I sink or swim. Worlds apart, time is rolling on. Choosing sides till I find where I belong. Shut my eyes only to try and change it if I blink. But then you step back at me, tell me that you think they're running, always running.
You'll also need to transfer those same patterns onto that silver fabric from earlier, but giving some seam allowance this time around. cut those out.
Swimming further from the shore, find just what I'm looking for. Oh, when you're in front of me, know just where I need to be. Swimming further from the shore, find just what I'm looking for. Oh, when you're in front of me, know just where I need to be. Oceans apart, waves are rolling, choosing sides.
Now to attach the fabric to the craft foam. So first I glue the fabric onto the front of the craft foam, mostly focusing the glue around the edges. And then I take a pair of scissors and make these small little cuts all around the edges to create these flaps. This will allow you to fold the edges over so that the top and side have a nice finished look to them, and the fabric won't get like bunched up or bundled, and it will stay pretty flat. Once that is all cut out, go ahead and take some glue and start gluing down the little flaps.
Walls are closing in, yeah, I built myself a train. Oceans apart, waves are rolling, choosing sides, but I sink or swim.
I use this method for all of the craft foam pieces, and yes, it is very time consuming. After all the circle pieces are done, there's a couple pieces of hers that have some layers to it, so I go ahead and just layer those on one another, and then I attach the gems using hot glue, but a stronger glue would probably be better because this did need to be touched up after each convention.
Try and change it if
To give the shoulder piece a better shape, I copied that pattern onto EVA foam, and then doing the same thing we just did with all the circle pieces, I'm going to do to this.
tell me that you're leaving, tell me you're coming.
Make sure the foam is slightly thinner than the actual fabric itself so that you have some room to cut the little flaps.
Sides, but I sink or swim.
I used pins to better hold the EVA foam in place so that I can first glue around the edges and then go through and start folding over all of the fabric and gluing that down.
The shore, find just what I'm looking for. Oh, when you're in front of me, know just where I need to be. Swimming further from the shore, find just what I'm looking for. Oh, when you're in front of me, know just where I need to be. Oceans apart, waves are rolling, choosing sides, but I sink or swim. Worlds apart, time is rolling on, choosing sides till I find where I belong.
And the lengthy process begins.
Like a plane, city lights, a galaxy, it draws me back again. I'm running, always running, gliding through the gap. Walls are closing in, yeah, I built myself a train. Oceans apart, waves are rolling,
Once this is finished, I glued on the collar piece and all of the resin pieces as well, just using hot glue gun and the same sort of method that I had for all of the pieces, but I just don't have footage for this, and so yeah. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thanks for watching and have a lovely day. Bye!